to start the timing belt and balance shaft belt removal, replacement, and then tensioning on my 83 944 project car. So we have cleared out an ample amount of space, have the car boosted pretty high up on jack stands inside of the garage, and we're going to be following, for this procedure, we're going to be following the Clark's garage process. So this first section is going to be on getting the engine to top dead center and installing the flywheel lock. So stay tuned. Alright, so prior to setting the flywheel lock in place, we have to set the engine at top dead center on cylinder 1. So now, in order to do that, we're going to be viewing the flywheel inspection port located by the speed and position reference sensors, which are in the back of the motor. And you can see that the window is somewhat obscured. It's over here on that side, buddy. Okay, so the window is somewhat obscured, and in order to find the TDC mark, that's what we're going to have to reference. So, like I said, I'm going to be following the Clark's garage procedure. So what we've done is we've extracted the number 1 spark plug, and using a large dowel, or this is a smooth fiberglass rod, we're going to go ahead and put it in there, let it sit on top of the piston, and we're going to crank it until it reaches what appears to be its highest point, and then we will reference the flywheel at that point. Now, other than jacking the car up and getting the necessary tools out, the other thing that we've done is disconnected the battery so as not to, again, to quote Clark's, practice our arc welding skills. So I'm going to get under the car and start moving the flywheel a little bit, and we're going to see if we can't find top dead center. Alright, so you can see I'm shooting from the top of the car now, and you can see that Rob is down there, okay, with a 15/16, or in this case 24 millimeter socket, a deep draw socket, and he's reaching in from the bottom because you have a lot more access, and then that's how we're moving the engine with the you want to turn it clockwise. Yes. So you keep the cylinders turning in the appropriate direction, and we're going to float the dowel in that hole to get it right there up in the spark plug hole, and you kind of want to hold it center too so it doesn't get all thingy in sideways. So let me come underneath for a second and show you where Rob is in. So you can see you got lots of room, plenty of access, pretty easy to move the motor. If your motor doesn't want to turn, you might want to check your belt to make sure that you have some teeth, because that would be your next stop. Alright, so we use the dowel method to somewhat locate top dead center, and once we got it close, Rob climbed under the car and got it located. You really can't see from here because of the lighting in the tight space.
But it does say OT.
But we have, we pretty clearly on the flywheel have the OT line indicating the top of cylinder 1, and there's a scribe mark and an alignment pin. You can see the pin in this image. I just don't think that you can see the writing, and I have it all the way zoomed in, so I think that's it, guys. But so we've located top dead center. So now next step is taking off the starter and the accessing the flywheel cover in the back so that we can go ahead and put the flywheel lock on. Alright, so Obviously at this point we're under the car, and we are going to go ahead and take the starter down now to put the flywheel lock on. We got the engine at TDC on cylinder 1, and we're up underneath. Now the first steps typically would be to remove the starter heat shield, but like is so often the case when we're doing work on our cars, you kind of make discoveries as you go along, and I made two. Number one, I don't have a starter heat shield, and number two, I also don't have a cover on my clutch inspection window. So I'm going to have to be putting an order in to Ian Zero Parts, and to make sure that both of those items are replaced when the car goes back together. So the follow-up step is to use a 19mm socket or wrench and remove the two starter mounting bolts. One, which is located here towards the back of the starter. Let's get some light in here for you. Okay, and one which is located in the front, closer to the clutch housing. Now, these bolts are torqued to 200 pounds by factory spec, and as you can imagine, they were very difficult to get loosened up. So I did get them, I broke them free before we actually did the video, so when we drop the starter, you'll see. What we did is we used two wrenches. I took a 19mm box wrench and put it on. Oops, I had to use the bent end forward so I could get the leverage. And then using my 17mm, I actually created a breaker bar like this and pulled with the extra leverage, and I got the 19mm bolt loose enough to go ahead and pop out. And we did the same thing on the front bolt. So let's get it out almost all the way. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this starter off. I'm going to hang it up on a bungee cord, and then we're going to come back in when we put the flywheel lock on. Alright? The starter was just a little gummed, and so we just took a small hammer and gave it a couple gentle taps and broke it away. And then with using a screwdriver, kind of wedged in here and just pried it back. So now the starter's going to just pop out. Go ahead and get her out. There. Okay. And there she is in all of her glory. And I have a bungee cord over here that, Rob, you're going to have to give me a hand with.
Yep.
For a second. So I'm going to try and pop the starter up and on top of the exhaust so as to not hang on the wires. And then I'm going to try and bungee it. Let's see, what are we going to bungee it to?
And we just come up over the top and just wrap it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said
than done.
Well, I only have one hand to work with, and then that one's not even that good. Alright.
There you go.
Alright, so now the starter's up and out of the way, and you can see inside there's our flywheel. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get my flywheel lock, and we're going to put that sucker on. Alright?